Welcome to this week's Indie Dev Showcase, where I highlight the many game demos and submitted titles we play here on Game Wisdom. If you submit a game for a future stream, please get in touch. And we are beginning with the game Tasomachi. This is a 3D platformer that is kind of like very light, almost like basic Mario, 3D Mario collectathons. We play as this girl here who has arrived in a mysterious valley where all the people have been cursed. And in order to save them, she's going to explore various shrines, find sources of earth, and basically bring back this place one town at a time. So like I said a second ago, this is first and foremost a collectathon. You're going to be going to each area, and you need to find these various sources of earth. They're kind of laid out like the moons in Super Mario Odyssey, in that they can be anywhere and everywhere. Some may require you to complete a little miniature puzzle, some may just be get to them in the area itself. The flow of the game is that you arrive in a new area, you need enough sources of earth to unlock kind of the first shrine. Go into that shrine, complete it, and the town or half the town will become alive, allowing you to access more parts of it, get more sources of earth, to then unlock the second shrine, which if you clear that, will free the entire town, and then you can move on to the next one, provided you have enough sources of MacGuffins. There is a light kind of Metroidvania style here. As you'll play through, you'll unlock different abilities, such as kind of like a little, I think it's like a flutter or a slight hover jump, the ability to slam into the ground. Now, this is not a game built on combat. You will not be fighting any enemies, you will not be destroying things, anything along those lines. This is just all about collecting. I like the environmental design of the city itself, and I've been wanting to play more 3D platformers that are just about explore the space around you. Unfortunately, with Tasomachi here, it is just not detailed enough in terms of its mechanics. Very basic jumping, very basic environmental hazards. Again, if you've played any 3D platformer in the last decade, I think at this point, then this game is going to be kind of a more simplistic side of it. The game has received updates, including, I think, improving the performance as well as adding in new things. But all in all, this is definitely one of the more easier ones to play. If you're an expert, there's probably nothing here that's going to really wow you. But I would say this is a decent one for somebody who is new or trying to play a 3D platformer for the first time. We now turn to Say No More. This is a very kooky game, and it reminds me a little bit of the absurdity of Kamari Damacy. But the story is that we are in a world where everyone has forgotten how to say the word no. And one day you discover that magical word, and it's up to you to bring about a revolution, maybe get your lunch back, and save everyone from the reality of only saying yes all the time. So this is a game that is essentially a kind of a one-button interface. You say no in different ways by pressing or holding down different modifier buttons, and this is a game that if you're hoping for very challenging, very cerebral gameplay, you're not going to find here, or no. But this is a title that it's very delightful in terms of its story and just the craziness of each episode that you're going to run into. And while it wasn't enough to, I think, really hold my attention all the way through, I would say if you're looking for a very delightful, very wacky game to play, then say yes. I guess just this one time. Now up, this is In Retrospect. This is an endless runner where our kind of key hook here is that the items that you pick up correspond to different elements of personality, and the more of a specific one that you collect will kind of dictate how the story goes. You can jump, you can do like this kind of dash, and the game, despite what it looks like right now, can certainly get trickier, especially when you get some of the more cerebral kind of obstacles that you have to avoid. I like the music, and it's one of those games that it's very much you see or you know what you're going to get once you start playing it. If you're not a fan of endless runners in any imagination or any stretch of the imagination, this game is not going to turn you into a fan. It is on the harder side, especially if you're playing it on the higher difficulties, and with some of the obstacles you're going to have to avoid. But I would say that if you don't mind endless runners and you're looking for one that is a little bit on the different side, especially in terms of the style it gives out, I would say give this one a check. From a gameplay standpoint, I think one of the few issues I had, at least when I play this on stream, is that sometimes you have to get through areas without a lot of checkpoints. Now, I did play this on the highest difficulty, which obviously adds to that challenge, but there were a few sections that it definitely felt that things were getting a little bit spikier in terms of what they want you to do. But with that said, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have 3 more games to look at in today's video. And as always, if you're interested in my thoughts on design, then check out the following. For entry-level students, we have 20 essential games to study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with free-to-play coming in 2022. We now have Hopeless Dregs. This game is in early access, and the footage you're seeing is from even earlier than what's out now, so what you see may not represent the current version of the game. But this is a turn-based RPG that it's kind of like, I guess, a more sanitized take on the Darkest Dungeon formula, or the kind of party-based RPG. We are in a low fantasy world where monsters have risen up, and it's up to us to lead a team of, well, dregs, in order to take back the land, fight the evil, and save everybody. So, this is one of those games where you're going to be getting characters randomly. When you go into new towns, they belong to different classes. Now, the gear that you find, you can either sell or equip to them, which will change what they're able to do. Give them new skills, and then you go into the world and get into a fight. You beat your enemies, or they'll kill you, and if a character runs out of health, I believe that there is permadeath, or at least there was in the version that I played. All in all, this game is unfortunately on the basic side. This is where gear and getting your skills higher up will kind of trump any kind of strategy. And if you're not able to keep up in terms of the enemies growing in power, they are just going to rock you. And losing characters means you have to spend more money to acquire a new one and power them up. And it felt like one of those games that there's a very specific solution in terms of beating the game, and you're going to need to aim for that on each one of your runs, or you are not going to have a chance at winning. All in all, again, it is on the basic side, and unfortunately it just wasn't enough, I think, to keep my attention or make me want to keep playing this game. Now again, it has been in early access for a while since I last played it, so I don't know where it's at this current state in time. We now have a far happier looking game. This is Nigate Tale. This game is also in early access, and again, what you see may not represent the current version of it. And the mission statement of this game is very, very simple. What if we took Hades and replaced the whole Greek mythology angle with, well, anime girls? And yep, that right there is basically going to describe whether or not, or dictate whether or not you're on any interest in this game. So, each girl has their own look, as well as provide you with different blessings or bonuses. You're free to mix and match, with certain combinations giving you special bonuses or changing how you play. When you die, you'll return to the starting area, which you'll be able to use your resources to unlock more persistent or permanent upgrades, get you further, meet more anime girls, and I think you get the picture. In terms of the gameplay itself, it's not bad. It is, again, a fairly solid action roguelite. You can move, attack, you have a range, and you also get special abilities based on which blessings you pick up. The main thing about this one, again, is going to be the Hades comparison. If you really loved Hades and you're still playing that one, Nigate Tale is probably not going to do it for you. Likewise, if you hated Hades, then this one is, well, more of that, but unfortunately not that same level of polish and quality of, well, super giant games. But for what we played of it on stream, it wasn't bad. It had a decent look to it, although the character models definitely aren't as detailed. We really didn't get a chance to see a lot of the persistent upgrades. We did make it to, I believe, the second biome or second full boss before I stopped playing. And obviously, with the game being in early access, there's probably more to it now than the version that I played. So, all in all, not a bad game. If you don't mind anime girls and playing something very similar to the Hades formula, then I would say at least give this one a check. For our final game of the night, this is Godstrike. And this is in the long line of boss rush focused games. If you remember Fury that we looked at a few years ago, this is definitely in that same style. Your mission is to kill a variety of creatures, each one completely different and more bullet helly than the last. The fights themselves are done in different phases. Beat a phase, the boss changes its pattern, kill that phase, get through the end, and you win. The twist of Godstrike is that time is not only your resource, but it's also your health. Whenever you take damage, you're going to lose time, as indicated by the bar at the top. But you can also equip different powers that come at the cost of some of your overall time. So if you want to use something that gives you additional damage, or maybe some orbitals, you can do that as well. You'll gain power, or picking up those little blue orbs will charge up your special abilities, such as being able to unleash a death beam, and other abilities you'll unlock as you play. Now, the game is played linearly, so you have to beat each boss in order, and each one will also unlock more things for you. My big issue that I had with this game is that I felt that the actual dodging is on the higher difficulty side. As you saw right there, bullets come at you very quickly, and it's very hard sometimes to be able to dodge, even if you see them coming. This is definitely, I don't know if I would say this is Touhou levels of bullet hell, but it is some kind of bullet hell in this game. And because it is entirely boss rush focus, there's no element of growth or progression that you can use to get around the difficulty. Either you get good or you get dead. And I don't think it has as much in terms of interesting mechanics as Fury did, despite the fact that it's very similar in terms of its structure. And I would say if you did enjoy Fury and you like boss rush style games that are on the harder side, then you should check out Godstrike. But if you did play Fury and you did not like that game for its general structure or difficulty, Godstrike may be a little too advanced for you in that respect. But with that said, we're going to wrap up this week's showcase here. As always, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing. Again, if you are a developer working on a game you'd like me to take a look at for a future stream and video, please get in touch. Make sure to check out our Discord and Patreon link down below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where he's in there in science of games. Until next time, take care.